Good morning, guys. So today you're going to be working on factoring applications, which means we're actually putting our factoring skills to a word problem. We're going to be looking at it in terms of rectangles, squares, and triangles. So remember that to find the area of a rectangle is length times width. To find the area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. The first question says if the area of a rectangle is 6x squared plus 7x minus 10, and the length is x plus 2, what is the width? Well, the first thing you should do is write down your formula. Area equals length times width. And we have our length, but we don't know our width, so we're gonna have to factor. I know most of you like the slide and divide method, so we'll do slide and divide. So we'll distribute this to the back. And so our new equation is going to be, and I'll do it over here to the side, x squared plus 7x minus 60. And so we have to see which factors of 60 will get us to 7x, right? And so we look at our first sign, we see a positive and a negative, so we know it's going to have to be a positive and a negative. And let me get my calculator. Trying to see something. Okay, just checking myself. I don't want to mess up. So I know some of you haters. All right, so we know 12 times 5 is 60. And I'll make the negative the smaller number. So 12 minus 5 is 7x. So these are the factors that are going to work. So then when I factor my simple trinomial, I end up with x and a positive 12 and x and a negative 5. And remember with slide and divide, once you slide, you have to go back and divide by the number that we slipped to the back. So we slipped the 6 to the back, so we're going to divide by 6. 12 over 6 reduces to x plus 2. And then this one does not reduce, it's already simplified, so we're going to slide it back to the front. So that one's going to be 6x minus 5. Now, cool thing about this is we just factored it, and this is a good check method because we see x plus 2 does exist, so that is our length. So the answer for this problem is our width equals 6x minus 5. Everybody got that? So if the length is x plus 2, our width is 6x plus 5, and you can go and do your length times width to double check if it's going to get you back to the original problem. All right, let's look at another one. If you want to pause, you can to practice. If not, we're going to keep going. So I look, there's no GCF, so I'm going to go ahead and factor. And so I'll use slide and divide again. Or honestly, guys, you really don't have to do that, because since they gave you 2x minus 5 is one of the factors, some of you might be able to skip all of this, hopefully, and be able to see, okay, if my first term is 6x squared, 2x times what is going to give me 6x squared? 3x. 2x times 3x is 3x squared. And if I'm trying to find the factors that'll multiply if I'm trying to find the factors that will give me my middle term of negative 5x, if you look in the middle term, we have negative 15x, right? And so we know 2 times something is going to have to get me down to 11x, which that part might confuse some of you. It's okay. Let me work through it. If you can skip the box and the T-chart and just figure out what factor is going to get me to 6x squared minus 11x minus 10, it's okay if you skip that. But if we go back to our method, we have slide and divide. Well, I'm not going to do slide and divide. I'm going to do reverse window pane just so that we can figure it out for all. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do a new document. 69x. And I need factors that are going to give me negative 11. So 15 and 4. One sign's gonna be a negative, two negatives are gonna give us a positive. So since it's a negative 11x, I'm gonna put my negative with the higher number. And so let's practice the reverse window pane for those people that like that method. So we have our first term, our last term, then we have a negative 15x and a positive 4x. Then remember we look at our first column and we see what is the GCF. The GCF is 3x. Then we look at our second column and see the GCF. Yeah, go ahead. And we see it's 2. Then we look at our, second row. Then we look at our first column and we see the GCF is 2. And then we do the next column and we see our GCF is a negative 5. Oh, I forgot to put my x right here, so that's 2x. So then we have 2x plus 5 minus 5 and 3x plus 2. And that means that our length is going to be 3x plus 2. And I'm gonna pause the video and create a second one so it's not too long. All right, now we have a square. What do we know about a square, guys? We know that all sides are going to be equal. They're gonna be the same, so that means this is a perfect square. Remember we talked about perfect square trinomials on yesterday. So remember, for perfect square trinomials, all you have to do is take the square root of the first and the last term. So that means 2x plus 5 and 2x plus 5, or some of you might write it as 2x plus 5 squared. So when it says what is the length of the side, 2x plus 5. Now remember, with perfect square trinomials, always still check. Multiply your inner terms. 5 times 2x is going to give us 10x. 5 times 2 is going to give us 10x. 10x and 10x, will that give us our middle term of 20x? Yes, it will. All right, let's go to the back. Now we are at the part where some of you start making some mistakes. Please remember on this test, do not make mistakes when we come to triangles. So we're gonna factor like normal, but be careful because when you factor, you're going to have to remember to divide by 2. So here, this is supposed to be 3. So make that change, otherwise it's not going to work. Everybody got that? All right, so we're going to